Hello once again, it's Matthew here. Thank you for watching my latest video, and as ever, if you like the kind of videos I make, be them about electronics, music or anything else, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified of the next video being released, and please follow me on social media. Matthewnorthmusic is where everything is. Now today we're going to talk about what's in here. Now I have done a video about this before. This is a kit from AliExpress to build a Klon Centaur clone overdrive pedal. Now, a few people have said, oh, I've always fancied getting one of these kits, but I don't know if I'm confident enough to build one. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to build this in real time. So if you've got one of these kits, you can watch this video with me and you should be able to build this with all the bits that are inside in the same way that I'm going to do it on camera. I'm not in my shed today, I'm somewhere else. I'm just going to use a table, I'm going to use some ordinary tools, nothing special, but we should be able to assemble this and have some fun with it. So what we're going to do, everything's going to be on the camera, and if you get stuck, just hit the pause button or you can rewind, and hopefully by the end of this video, no matter how long it'll be, we should have a working pedal. So what I've got here is multimeter, soldering iron, some solder here, basic tools and our kit. So let's get this kit open. I've got a very old Stanley knife here to open the box. I think a Stanley knife my dad probably bought in the 60s, but it still functions and it's still good enough for getting a little cardboard box apart. Again, always good to be careful. That the right way? If we got this out? No, it's on the front. Oh, there's a seal here. Have a look. So yeah, I bought this kit from AliExpress. It was about £20 including the shipping. And well, let's see what we've got. So it's been pretty well packaged. The box was pretty solid. And it didn't take too long to get here. I think it got here within about 3 weeks. Okay, I'll bring the camera in a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. So this is our case. It's just a bog standard metal box. The same sort of ABS type boxes that you buy. And it's been sprayed with gold paint with some lettering on it. Now you can see here that the lettering is actually not very good. It's actually sloped. It's definitely at an angle where normally it should be straight, and it's not actually printed very well. So I think when this was, I guess this was possibly screen printed, but it was done very quickly and not very well. The pedal I had before that I did, it was much neater. And on the back, again, the basic labelling's there, but you know, it's not ideal, but it's okay. This is the back of the pedal. It may have some rubber feet to go with it. I don't know, probably not. And here's our bag of components. So let's open this up and have a look. See what we've got. Okay, well, a lot of these bits I'm just going to stick to one side because we're not going to need them yet. But interestingly, unlike the last one I had, it has got a PP3 battery connector, which the other one didn't have. We've got our foot switch. These are the sort of bog standard Chinese foot switches that you get for everything. I might actually just fit that to the pedal right now, actually. I normally just have the have it in like that with the switches, the lines going across, because the switches goes from the middle to that side or to that side. And pop on our shape-proof washer and our nut on that side. Okay, I can tighten that up with a pair of pliers. Normally I would use a socket set or something, but I haven't got one here. So you've got to be a bit careful you don't slip and scratch the paintwork. Although saying that, if you did, it probably wouldn't make a lot of difference. So that's that. We've got our DC connector here, which is a switched connector. So we've got our middle pin, which is ground, and then we've got a switched positive on the outside, so that will switch between the battery or the DC connector on one side, and then you'll have the earth switching using the output jack. So in other words, when there's no connection here, then the power will go through the switch to the pedal from the battery, but then for the battery to work, the ground will go on one of the switching connection of here, of the jack socket, and then that creates the circuit. So in other words, if you push in a DC connector in here, it disconnects the battery, or if you don't have anything plugged into the output, it also disconnects the battery. So there's kind of two ways, and both of these sockets are stereo. So I don't think they even make these in mono. I mean, they might do, I don't know, but these are the standard box jacks that I use on everything, including things like the Cosmo synths. Then we've got 3 potentiometers here. 1, 2, 3. One's actually a stereo potentiometer. It's got two sets of pins here. These will be the last things we put in, because what we do here is we fit them to the board but without soldering them. We then put the potentiometers into the case and loosely tighten them up so they're in position. Then when everything's in position, then you solder it in. And the same goes with the LED, which I think is here. So there's our LED with its nut. And if you look at the LED legs, one is actually slightly longer than the other. And the reason for that is the longer leg is the positive and the shorter leg is the negative. So we've got that. We've got 3 knobs, and these are knobs with little screw threads on the end rather than push-ons, which are nice because then you can line them up. And then we've got our 4 screws here for the case. And then there's a little grub screw here. So this little grub screw's fallen out of one of the knobs. Not that one, so it must be this one. Yes, fallen out there. So what I need to do is to pop that in. I need to put my glasses on. Just bought a new set of reading glasses. They're very good for electronics as well. I need a little screwdriver, probably. This one will probably do actually. And we will just pop in our little grub screw. That's the wrong way up. So that's the thing, if you drop one of these on the carpet, you're going to spend hours trying to find it. So pop that in there like that, and we do it up. So yep, that's all good, we've got that. Then we've got a little bunch of wire here, which is for connecting our DC power, our foot switch, and our jack sockets. And we've got 2 bags of components. This bag here has our capacitors, IC sockets, and presumably the ICs are in there too. You can see some chips. This is our printed circuit board. You can see it's pretty nicely laid out. It's there's 3 potentiometers on here. They're at 100k, which is the one with 6 legs on, and then there's 2 10ks. So you're not going to get those mixed up in a hurry. We've got our foot switch here. Connections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're actually labelled. They go on here as being 1, 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and 4, 5, and 6 that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you do it in that order, then that should be all okay. Now, the circuit board has all the component names written on it. All the values, pretty much. There's a couple of diodes on here at the bottom end that may be slightly confusing, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But otherwise, it's pretty well laid out. Now, there is I don't think, any paperwork with this. None at all. So we're doing this without any kind of diagram. Now, as I say, because they've written most of the part names on the printed circuit board, that shouldn't be a worry. But it's purely by experience about things like the foot switch, which are not labelled on here. So you can find diagrams online, but they're not very good. So we're going to build a lot of this with basically experience rather than anything else. Now, interestingly, I think on this, it's actually got the battery terminal you actually wire to the circuit board rather than wiring it directly to the power connector, which is here. So that's quite a neat little way of doing it. But anyway, we'll sort the power out in a bit. But there's our output jack is there, which is doesn't have anything connected to. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, it has the ground connected there. So our output jack's wired there, and our input is going to be wired there. I think that there's only 2 connections for the input because as I say, so the input doesn't switch anything. Got our diodes and everything else. So what we're going to do first, we're going to open our packet resistors. Now, these resistors have all been labelled, and hopefully they're all going to be correct. And I'm going to build this assuming that they are all correct. However, if you've got a DVM, and this one, you can buy these on Amazon for about £20, and you know, it works really good. If I just move the camera back a bit and let you see the display, if I pick out a resistor at random, say this one here, which says it's, if I can read the writing, it says 420k, and so if I put this on there, it's 426k, so that's close enough. There's a 4.7k resistor here, in fact there's 2 of them, again 4.7 something, that's correct. We may as well do a few more of these. This says, I can't actually read that, but it's 560. It says 568 ohms. So 560 ohms, yeah. There's 560R there, so they're correct. This one says 5.1k, and it's 5.1k. Okay, we've got 2 1 meg ohm resistors here. Let's just try that. .99 meg ohm, that's close enough. 27k here. 27. 15k. I do apologise, I've had a bit of a cold. So yeah, I'm at the bottom end of, or the back end rather, of having a cold. But we can tell from that, most of these resistors are probably going to be okay. So what we're going to do is we get the resistors and we put them in the board. And then that way, once they're soldered in, they're like the lowest profile. So they're the smallest components. So we do resistors first, then maybe do the diodes, then we do the capacitors, then we put in the IC sockets, and then we solder the wires in, and then we're pretty much good to go. So now there's several ways you can do this. You can either lay them out in order, which is probably not a bad way, or at least a way that you can try and remember where things are. There's 1k, 1.5k, 1.8k. What's this one? 2k. Let's put that over to one side because it's 2k. 27. So yeah, the ones that start there are there. The ones that maybe start with 4, I'll stick as 5 something there. I think that was a 560 ohms, so I'll put that there. We'll stick that with the 4s. The 1, something else with a 4 on it. What's this? That's a 2, that's 22, stick that there. It's a 6. Then we've got 100k there, 12k, 10k, and I think that's 3 something. I'll just leave that to one side. So we've kind of roughly got our resistors all in order. So now it's a case of just popping them in the board. Right, I've just had a quick dollop of Cavonia. Got to say, I feel much better after having that. It's good stuff when you got a cold. Now then, I'll try and zoom this in a little bit so you can see a bit more of what I'm doing. And if we look at the board, let's have a look here. So the first resistors here, we've got a 1k and a 1 meg. So I'm going to plug those in first. And there's our 1k here. So take one of those. And then pop that into where it says 1k. And what I tend to do is I put the resistors in place. I mean, I quite often like to keep them in sort of colour code order, so the sort of the tolerance bands at one side and the numbers at the top. It doesn't really matter, but these are so small I can barely see them anyway. So there's our 1k. And can I see the other 1k? No, but sometimes you might just look at it and you might just spot one and think, oh, I've seen that. It's like, for example, here is the 1.8k. Well, I've got the 1.8k here. So I'm just going to whack that in there now while I see the slot. You know, I mean, there's no right way or wrong way of doing this really, but you know, as if you are following me at home, then you're saying it doesn't matter the order. It's just like, and the idea of this video is really, it's like you're with a mate doing the same thing, or like, you know, like when you were at school doing the same thing. So there's a 1 meg ohm here, and there's a 1 meg slot there. So we'll pop the 1 meg in up here. Now what I tend to do is I tend to put 5 or 6 in at once, and then I'll solder them in. I kind of find if you put too many in at once, you might leave them dangling around a bit, and then they might not actually fit in properly, and then you find you've got to resolder them afterwards. So I got those in. So what have we got next then? The two 68 nanofarads, that's capacitors. So there's a 10k next, so we've got 10k somewhere. There we go, there's our 10k. So let's pop that in. And I'll put one more resistor in after this, and then we're going to solder them. So that's 10k. Again, I tend to just spread these a little bit to one side. And again, I don't have my little stand that I'd normally fit the circuit board on that sort of rotates, which is actually really neat. I'm literally just doing it on the table. And I kind of thought this was a good way to demonstrate, because after all, a lot of people here have just got this as a kit. You might only just have literally a soldering iron and some cutters, and basically that's all you need. Right, so another 1k here. So where was my 1k? There we go. So I'll stick this 1k in. And also, if you look at the layout of this board, you'll notice that for resistors, they've got like a sort of a parallel line. I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but they've got like a parallel line going across. Whereas the capacitors, they've got like a circle around it, so it's like a complete circle. So for that 100 nanofarad. Again, I'm checking my camera to see if this is in focus, but then I'm realising that I've got my my electronics glasses on, so that makes everything go out of focus. Or reading glasses, I should say. Okay, so there's our board there. Let's move the camera down a bit. And so I've got some solder here. Very old drum of RS solder that I've had since the beginning of time. I'm just going to tin my soldering iron bit. And then we're going to solder these in. It's heated up. Put some solder in. And there we go. Now, admittedly, this is not the best quality solder I've ever used. I'm not sure it's even got any flux in it, to be honest, or if it has, it's not very much. Now, I am actually just going to open the window here because solder fumes and all that. So you might hear a little bit of background noise coming from the road outside. And I might start getting cold, but there's not a lot you can do about that. Therein, let's do this one here. Oh, it's not taken, or is that not taken? It's better. Right, now that resistor there, is that? Yes, that's fallen out slightly. The others all stayed in place, but this one's... I want to stretch it across a bit, so I'll make sure that, that it all stays in. No, that's not gone in at all. Like I said, this solder I've got is really not very good. I wish I brought my my trusty roll of probably highly toxic lead solder from the 1970s that I bought at the tip 20 years ago. Anyway, now the little box that it comes with is very handy, just using as a bin, because you can just plonk it down and then snip off all your excess. You can just go fall in the box. Just cut it out, they go. I bought some of these the other day actually off AliExpress, these sort of blue handle side cutters, and I think I bought 3 pairs of them for about £7, and I got to say, for budget tools, they actually do the job very well. Now I can see there's one solder joint that didn't quite take. In fact, this didn't take at all, so we're just going to redo that one, which is here. I mean, it's sort of stuck, but not very well. Again, a mixture of not very good solder, Dempsey light, and me being not the greatest eyesight in the world to what I used to be. Okay, so that's 6 in, and we've got another load to go in. So what have we got next? 5.1k. That's this one here. That neatly in. And the next one is going to be 15k. There's 2 15ks here, so we'll take one of those. Just widen that out a bit so you can see a bit more. Then we're looking for 420k, which is this one here. 'Cause I remember there was a couple, and I think it does say 420k, but so you probably can't see my meter from here. There we go. So let's just double check this one. 426k, but yeah, that's the one we want. So again, we'll pop that in, Where were we? 420k. Then the next one is 15k, which I think is around here somewhere. Is that it? Yeah. So we just popped a 15k in, so there's another one. And underneath that, we've got a 27k. So let's find that one. So we've got three 27k resistors. But you know what I might do? I might shove a few extra in, actually. I won't just do 6, I'll do a few more. Just because I think it probably will save time and, you know. In fact, I think if you were to actually just do it as one strip down here, then you've not got the wires touching the ones on the other side and it's easier to solder. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So what we've got next, a bunch of capacitors, and we've got 390k there. Which is it that one? No, it's 4 something. Oh, I think it might be that one that's 390k. Let's just have a look. No, that's the 560 ohm. So where's 390k gone? Wasn't that one? No, it's 47k. So definitely 390k. Yeah. Oh, 27k, 100k, one. There's no other resist. Ah, is it? What's this one here? Again, another one I can't read. 400k. So yeah, that's 390. In fact, it has got a 3 on the thing. Now, some of you might be saying, why aren't I reading the resistor colour codes? You know, black, red, orange, green, whatever. It's very simple. It's really hard to read in this light. So I just save time and use a meter because, you know, we haven't got all day. If I had a better light here and I had slightly more powerful glasses, then I could read them better, but I can't. Okay, 47k next. Now we've got 4k7s and 47s, and that's 4k7s. This is 47k here. So I'll pop that in. Then after that, we've got another 100k. Which is there, because we've got 4 of them. And when you start building things and you start getting your own stocks of components, you know, 100Ks, 10Ks and 1K resistors, you probably use more of those than anything else. And also they're quite good values to have if you want to make another value. I mean, if you say you needed 33K, well, you can get 300Ks and twist them together. That'll get you 33K if you haven't got one, which is what I used on my last repair. Right, 4.7K. So again, if you were stuck and, you know, the values didn't have to be 100% accurate, if you didn't have a 4.7K but you had some 10Ks, you could just put 2 10Ks in parallel and you get 5K, depending on the tolerances. And that'll be, you know, probably be close enough. You know, not perfect, but then these are never perfect anyway. Okay, so now we've got 68K, which is here. So yeah, actually doing this in a row is definitely the way to do it, because you're not going to have other things in the way. So let's pop that in. Then the next one is another 560 ohm, which I think is here. Again, because the writing on these labels, but then you think some poor sod in China's literally spends all day writing labels on resistors. Hang on. I mean, it looks like 560R, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, 570, so yeah. $560R, and I think, oh no, we've got 227Ks after this. And there's our 227Ks here. Pop them in. And then I think that is all the resistors on this side done, as in put in place. So we'll solder these in, and then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side of the board. Hopefully at home you're able to get on with this. As I said, you know, you've always got the pause and rewind should you want to. But yeah, they're all now in place. So it's really feels really dark, even though I've got lights on. Can't see a blinking thing. Okay, so there's one on this side, the rest are all on this side. So let's get my my rubbish roll of solder, and we'll start soldering in. I'm just going to snip those out actually, just because they're on this side of the board. Put them out of the way. And now we can do all of these. And I might go from bottom to top actually. I just think it might be easier. In fact, I'll do them row by row rather than component by component. Just because it's going to be a little bit quicker. Some of you might just be watching this just because you're desperate to go to sleep. Like my friend Heidi, who occasionally watches my videos for that very reason, apparently. If you don't know who she is, she gave me the sign that you see at the beginning of most of my videos. Anyway. Right, so that's one row done. And now we'll do the other row. Oh, just had another cough there, which I've just edited out so you don't have to listen to it. Right, oh, this is taking better now. Maybe I just had a duff bit of solder. Yeah, it's not doing too bad. Oh, I just hit something. Oh no, that was a component in there. That's okay. We do that one a bit. Okay, so a little closer look at that. That looks not too bad. So we'll snip all those out. Yeah, this actually works much better doing it in rows. So then things like snipping out the legs is much easier to do. We'll do the same here. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. There doesn't appear to be any shorts or anything. No, that's all those components in. So all these resistors are in here. We've just got to do the ones down this side now, which shouldn't take too long. We're going to start with a 4K7, which is here. Now, if you've decided to do them in rows from the very beginning, then your next resistor will be a 1 mega ohm, but I've already put that in. So the next one is a 1.5K resistor, which is there. I think these 1.5s. 1K5, yeah. So we'll pop that one in next. Again, just push them through, pull the legs to one side like that, and then it shouldn't fall out. Next is a 22K, which is there. Just have one 22K in this circuit. Be interesting to see actually if you buy one of these ready-made as to whether the boards have the component layout on them, as to whether they're kind of all made in the same place, or whether they're actually they actually do different versions. Now I need a 12K now, which is, I think it might be this one. Yeah, 12K. So yeah, when you're near the sort of ending street on these things, and you don't have that many components left, then it's always easy to find the components that you're looking for. So that's our 12K in place. Then we need a 100K, so again, there'll be a few of these going in because there's 4 in the kit. This is only the second one we've put in. Then we've got another 560 ohm, which is this one. Then we've got 100K, there's actually a 10K, there's 200Ks here, one there, one there. So I'm just going to put both of those in now while I've got them in my hand. So one goes there, then there's a 68 in the middle, and then there's the other 100K. So just for speed, we'll pop these in. Again, pull these to the side, then they're not going to budge. Now, there's a 10K on the side, there's a 10K here, so we'll pop that in next. This is actually going sideways here, which I know might slightly get in the way when I'm soldering these, but oh well, we'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Then we've got a 68K in between, which is this one. So that goes between the 200Ks. Yeah, actually that 10K that's on the side here, you can see it sort of slightly to an angle. I think I actually, in hindsight, I would have actually not put that in, and I'd do that right at the end. So if you want to miss that one out now and do that at the end, then that's probably a sensible thing to do. We've got 3 more resistors left, so we've got to find them. There's a 1 meg ohm here at the bottom, which I didn't see before, which I think is this one, because I think we had 2 1 meg ohms. Yeah. So that goes in here. That goes there. And then we've got 2 more resistors that I need to find. And where will they be? Okay, there's a 1.5K up here that I missed out. Completely missed that one. So yeah, that's on the other side, but it doesn't matter because I might as well just get them all in. So that's in there. And the last one I need to find is this 2K resistor. And where's that going to be? 87, 27 nanofarad, 2.9. 'Any others in a funny angle? So that one's just come out again. That one at the side, let's bend that in the opposite direction, so it's not going near the others. There we go. Right, so why can't I find it? It definitely says 2K, yeah, 2K. 1K, 1K5, 68, 82 nanofarad. 100 nanofarad, 100 nanofarad, 68 nanofarad. This is really weird. I cannot find a 2K resistor on this board. Did that go in by accident? Oh, it is. It's there. It's there. So yeah, if you spotted that before I did, well done. And I bet some of you, if you are building this kit, probably did spot that before me. So yeah, the 2K was up there. Right, everything's now in place, resistor-wise. So what we have to do now is we have to solder all of this in. And it's a little bit of a pickle, but we should get there. So I'm just going to do this one first, down the bottom. Then I'm going to do this row here. Oh yeah, solder's going in much easier now. I'm also trying to blow away any solder fumes. I think this is the ubiquitous 2K up here. Oh, that's not going in very well. Let's just move that a second. That's better. Solder on that one. Okay, now I'm going to do this row. I'm going to do that funny little on the sidey resistor there first. Because I've done one side, I can lift the legs up at the opposite side and they shouldn't move. Okay. Right, I think that's all of those done. Yeah, because I did that bottom one first. So let's snip all these little wires off. Just keep an eye, make sure that they have all gone in okay. Nothing's touching. Right, I'm just going to shine some light on this using my torch from my cell phone. Going to double check everything. Yeah, that looks all okay to me. Right, so all our resistors are now in place. So the next thing I want to put in are the next smallest components, which are going to be the diodes. And all that and all the other bits are in this little bag here. So let's empty out all of these bits. I think in a way the resistors are probably the most time consuming bit because obviously they're components that look very similar. So what we've got here, we've got a bunch of capacitors. There's one diode, there's capacitors, we've got electrolytics. They're easy to go in because they're round and they're polarised. So and there's another diode here, and there's another diode here. So what we've got is 5 diodes. And of these 5 diodes, we've got 2 silicon diodes. I think they're 1N4001s, which go here. We've got these 2 germanium diodes here that are part of the overdrive circuit. And we've got this diode here, which I think is a Zener diode. And I think the Zener diode goes here, where it says 12 volt. So I think that's some sort of protection diode. And if you look closely, I'll just zoom in a bit. If you look closely, you can see there's a line there, a line there, and a line there. And that's the polarity of the actual diode as to where it lines up. And so this Zener diode here will line up like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these diodes in place and then get them soldered in. And yes, I'm actually going to bend the legs first. So our Zener goes in here. And the thing with Zener diodes are they do look very similar to signal diodes. So, you know, you've got to be a little bit careful, make sure you don't muddle them up. But because our 2 germanium diodes here, or signal diodes, they're much bigger, then you know you're not gonna mistake them for something else. So let's stick this silicon diode in here. And I might need to use a pair of pliers just to pull it out the other end. It's a bit tight. There we go. And we'll do the same on the other side. So again, look for our marking. These are actually both going in the same direction. So I'll pop them in like that. That one went in really neatly, actually. And again, I'll just, because the legs are quite thick, I'll just use pliers just to bend them a little bit. So those are all in place. And then we've got our other diodes. Now, where do they go? That is the question. I think they go at the other end of the board, but I'm not 100% sure. If you're watching at home, can you see where these diodes go? There they go there. So we've got a line there and a line there. So, and they're marked as GE for germanium. Whether these are actually germanium diodes or not, I don't know. They probably are, but there might be some modern equivalent. Because when you think of components with the word germanium in the name, you always think of something that's very old and very expensive. Particularly in the world of overdrive, booster and fuzz pedals. I mean, the money that is being charged for pedals that have new old stock OC44s or OC71s is quite staggering, especially as there's lots of them around. I mean, you're always seeing old collections of components for sale from, you know, former radio repair engineers, estates and whatever. And quite often there's boxes of them. There's a pedal builder in Cornwall who I follow on Facebook. And he seems to be buying crates of new old stock germanium transistors. I mean, you must have enough to build, you know, enough fuzz boxes for every guitar player in England that wants one. Okay, so anyway, they're all in place. They're all soldered in. So let's snip those wires off. Yeah, I think we'll snip a bit more of that off. Yeah, I think we're making good progress with this board now. Now, what to put in next? Do we put in the capacitors or do we put in the IC sockets? Well, I'm actually going to say the IC sockets, and the reason for that is a lot of the capacitors are higher profile. They stick out more. But if we put our IC sockets in, now let me just zoom in a bit. I need to show you this. You've got a little notch on the circuit board here, and that's to indicate the direction that the IC is. And the IC itself has usually got a dot or a notch or something, and this IC here's got a little circle on it. So you may not see it, there's a little circle to the left, and that indicates top left, and there's top left there. So what we need to do is we need to make sure the IC holders are facing the right way. So if we pop that in there, and that it's notch to notch, and then we do the same on the others. Now these are actually quite nice sockets. These are actually turn pinned, and they're all facing in different directions, all of them. So this one is facing that way, that one is facing that way, and this one is facing that way. And just need to make a note of what the chips are. So there's a 1887 AC28. So that I think is the odd chip out, because I think the others are both TLO72s, and I cannot read that to save my life. So I'm going to have to shine a little bit of light on it, as Jeff Lynne would say. Come on, phone, torch. Yeah, these are both TLO72s, and that's the other one. So what I'll do is, the two TLO72s I shall stick over here, and the odd one out I'll stick over there. And that way, as I hold the board there, I'll remember where they are. In fact, I'll probably put them in place after I've soldered the sockets in. So if we turn the board upside down, you can see that the pins are sticking out on the bottom of the board exactly where they should be. And so with that, I can then solder them in. But what I tend to do is, I do one corner, and then I do the other corner, just to keep it in place. No, it's not taking, let's give that a wipe. Oh, why is that not taking? Oh, it has eventually. Okay, so that's in place. And I'm going to do the same for the other two. And then now we can just solder all the other pins. And if we go, so that one, and that one. Oh, that's not taken too well. Then we'll do the next one, which is here. It's not taking at all. Okay. That's okay. Yep, they're good. And then we've just got the last one here, which is the odd one out IC. Okay. So our IC sockets are in, and we really have now got a pedal that is starting to look like a pedal. So next is going to be capacitors. Now we've got a lot of odd different shaped capacitors. Some are polarized, some are not. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick our ICs in just so I don't forget and I don't lose them as much as anything else. So that one goes in there. This TLO72 goes in that way. And then this TLO72 goes in this way. So yeah, our ICs are in. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of work my way down the board as I did with the resistors and just look at what we've got here. So, for example, here, 68N, so they're going to be 68N, so there's a 68 nanofarad there. So I'm going to pop that in. Said some of these are box capacitors. Some of the, if I'm gonna, the ones that are labelled and you can read them, I'm going to put them up the right way. So that goes in there. There's another, I think that's another 68N. It looks like K, but I think it's actually an N with the letter rubbed off. But I'm going to leave it for a second, so I just want to see what else we've got here. Because some of these are actually quite hard to read. Right. 0.1J100. So that's probably going to be 100 nanofarad. 100, yeah. So that's, I'm guessing that's 100 nanofarad. Got some 27s. There's a 27 nanofarad. There's only one 27 nanofarad. And that goes there. So I'll pop that in place. I mean, it's almost like a Lego set, this, in a way, that you're putting things in to match. And if there's some things you don't recognise straight away, you can put them in afterwards. So like I said, that says 7 something, I think. It's really hard to read. It's an 82 here. I'm sure I saw that somewhere. Yeah. So the 82 goes in here. Where's that bit of cardboard go? It's still stuck on the leg. So I'll stick that in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that other 6.8 is that one next to it. It's just the lettering's come off. If I'm going to take the gamble, I'm going to put that in. Let's stick that in there because I've not seen another 68 anywhere. Now stick that in place. Actually, I think I'm just going to solder those in to start with. I'm going to stick a screwdriver there so that I'm not pressing against any of the components. Just because they're all different shapes and sizes and things might get loose or fall out. I'm just going to get these soldered in first. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 in. Okay, those are in. Now we've got some more here. What have we got here? They got 100, so they're 100 nanofarads. So there's one. They're normally near the IC, so there's one there. And these are normally actually, you see these everywhere on these circuits. They're normally used for keeping the power rails clean. So stick that one in there. And there's another 100 somewhere, so we won't find that. I'm going to say there's a 2N2 and a 3N9, so there's one with 2 or 3 written on it. 3N9, there we go. This actual cardboard that's attached to it with masking tape is actually really sticky and horrible. You know what, I'm just going to snip the legs off a little bit. That's the 3N9, so that was there. I'm going to push them through the hole. And none of these are polarised, these little box capacitors, so which way round they go in doesn't really matter. Right, we've got this one here now. Is this polarised? Is this a tantalum? No, the legs are the same length and it doesn't have a sign light. And this says 391JF. It's probably this 390 nanofarad. That's going to be there. So that goes in there. We haven't got many left actually. There's another 100 here, 100 nanofarad. And that's a 2.2N2, so that one is 2N2 one here, goes in that slot. Again, I'm going to stretch these out. And then, what was this one? I guess there's 100, so where's that going? Right, okay, what's this one? Is this the 391? And what was this one? Right, okay, I've put this in the wrong place. Because this says 391 and it said 391 somewhere else. Yeah, 391J, so that actually goes in there. So I had that in the wrong place. Apologies, another cough I've had to edit out. So I got that in the wrong place. So now we're left with 2. There's an 8, a 3. There's a 390. Oh, hang on, there's one here. Look, what's this one? 821, yeah, that goes in there. This funny little green one goes in here. Then we've got two more. So this one, which also says 39J100, that's going to be this 390 up here. So the one I mistaken, this actually goes in here. That's actually a very big capacitor. And then I've noticed down here is the other 100 nanofarad. I should have probably soldered some of these in before now, rather than just placing them all in, but oh well, never mind. So that goes in there. With all of those in place, then I can solder them in. And I've actually just clipped the board to my screwdriver, and that's giving it some height so they're not touching the bench. And it's staying in place. That's not a bad little way of holding your circuit board. Give that another little dab. That's better. That's that one. That one. Let's do this one here next. And this one here. Some legs here. This one here. Okay, let's do this one. Oh, that one didn't take there, actually. Let's do that one again. Better. This one at the top. This is that funny big blue capacitor. Certainly if you'd put this in before the resistor, you'd have been a bit stuck. Okay, I think that's all of those soldered in. Again, we'll snip those legs off. Wish these things wouldn't just go flying off in the air. Maybe if I hold them up that way it might help. Although you can't really see it, but I don't think you need to. Okay, that's everything in. I think the joints are all mostly good. Yeah, I think everything's in place. Right, so next is the electrolytic capacitors. Now, these are probably the easiest components to solder in because they're all marked, and the polarity is also all marked on the board. And basically, you'll see on one side you've got the ground, which is this sort of grey line here. Well, if we look at the board, which I will zoom in, on the board you will see a grey line marked there. So there's a grey line there, grey line there, grey line there, etc. So what we'll do is we'll look at the value of the capacitor. So this is a 47 microfarad, so this is quite a big one, and that's here, and so that goes in that way. So we'll pop that one in first. This is a 1 microfarad, so that can go there. There's quite a few 1 microfarads, so we'll pop all those in. If I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm not going to put that 47 in, I'll do that in a minute. I'm just going to do these in a row first, because these are actually a pain to go in sometimes, because they'll all end up looking a bit wonky on the other side. So need another 1 microfarad, so I'm guessing that's another one. Yep. 1 microfarad goes in that way. Then we've got a 4.7 microfarads. These are going to be slightly bigger capacitors. Not as big as the 47. What's this one? That's another 47, so it's going to be one of... So what's this one here? This is a 4.7 microfarad, so that goes in that way, with the ground facing that way. And then there's another 1 microfarad at the bottom, which is there, so I'll pop that in. There's our ground facing that way. Okay, so if we hold them up this way, I'll try and push them in flat and then bend the legs as much as I can. Do the same there, same there. Right, I think that's all okay. Yep, that's in a row. Stick these pliers there, just hold the board so it's not dangling like it should. And then I'm going to solder it in, which may be easier than said. I'm just hoping these aren't all going to be down. What I might do is I might just do one row and then check the others, check they're vertical, and then do the other. One side soldered, that's good. So yeah, so I can straighten these up now. There we go. And now I can do the other side. There we go. Oh, I just realised, you probably didn't see any of that. I do apologise. But in the spirit of how this video is to be, it's as it is. So I do apologise, but I basically stuck them in a row, put them together, and yeah, seems to be okay. So let me just snip all this off. Okay, so they're done, and I can put some of the others in now. So we've got 2 47s and a 1. So this is the 1, I think. Yeah, so the 1 microfarad goes in that way because the ground is facing that way. So again, I'm going to just bend that back, and what I'll do is I'll solder one side and hope the others fit. And the other 2 are the big 47s. So there's 147. See, these don't quite fit. They're a little bit fat. So it's a little bit untidy. But, you know, they're sort of all in there. In fact, I don't think they're going to move, so I'm just going to leave them like that. And I'm going to solder them in. Right, so they're all in like that. Yeah, they're roughly about right. Let's do the other side. One, two, three. Oh, not done that yet. There we go. Let's get these out. Snip, 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 snip. Right, and we got a couple of capacitors left. So that's not the most tidiest thing. It's a bit cramped in there, has to be said. Anyway, we've got 2 more 1 microfarads to go in, and that one's got a negative facing downwards, and this has got the negative going the downwards as well. So they both go in like that. Again, I'm going to just bend the legs, and then I'm going to solder one side only, make sure it's straight, and then solder the other side. I didn't actually straighten that, check that, but that'll do. Now, is that in tight? No, it's not actually. No, one of those needs redoing. Let's just redo this one here. Some heat, or proper heat on there. Now let's have a look. Yeah, it's better. Right, let's snip all this out. Okay, we now have all the components soldered to the board. Oh, actually no, we haven't. We haven't. We've got another couple of capacitors. There's one here, there's one here. And guess what? I've actually soldered the wrong component in. What an idiot. So I told you we're going to... So these are both 1 microfarads. This one here is a 4.7 and I've put it in the wrong place. Bugger, bugger, bugger. Right, okay. Let's take him out. Lots of heat. Give him a wiggle because I'm not sure I've got a desoldering pump here. And if I haven't, it's going to be a real pain to get the other one in. So I'm hoping the hole will go with the capacitor, but you know what? It's a real nuisance when this happens. But it's my own fault. I can't blame anyone else but me. Well, I've got that one out, so that's our 4.7, yeah? Yeah, okay. So the 4.7 with the earth is going that way, so I need to push that in. Fortunately, I haven't damaged the legs, so that should just slide in. With the legs sticking out. Now, can I bend them slightly to get them to stay in place? And the answer is maybe just. One's certainly in place. The other one is there. Okay, that's in place. Excellent. Excellent. Right, all I need to do now is solder that. Brilliant. Crisis averted on that one. Now, have I got a desoldering pump here? I thought I had one, but I'm not sure I do. And I haven't got any desoldering braid either. Oh, this is going to be fun. Right, I'm going to do the trick of trying to heat it up, giving it a shake, see if the hole will reappear. Almost. A bit on the other side, look. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the positive end first. I'm going to rest it against the hole and see if I heat it up whether it'll just come through. Yes, it will. Give it a little shake, little twist. Bit of heat, little twist, like that. We've got our hole back. Alright, it's stuck again now, but let's just reheat that. Okay, we've got our hole back. So now I'm going to have to do the same with the other hole. So again, because this one's... Let's push that towards where it's meant to go. Out. This is so annoying. Right, okay, I think I've got it in the right place. No. Bizarrely, it's actually soldered in the right place, but I want the leg to go through. Problem with a bodge like this is you don't want to overheat the board and damage it. See if a bit of runny wire will help. Will this help to get this through? Yes, it will. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to heat both up now. And push it and push it and push it, and it's through. Crisis averted. And that's probably actually soldered now as well. So, yeah, bit of a bodge, but, you know, these things happen. Right, last component now is 1 microfarad. That way is the polarity. And we're going to solder that in. Right, we really do have now all the components soldered on that board. We now have to connect everything else up. So we need to connect our battery terminal in, we need to connect our foot switch, our jack sockets, our power connector. So I'm going to do it not methodically. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get our battery connector. Now this sort of threads in through here. You then thread it the other way, like that. So it sort of twists. So it's basically, it's like a strain relief. And then it solders into the hole. So I'm going to give it, I'll give it some proper length. And then I'll tighten it through afterwards. Now, I don't think these wires are tinned, even though they're stripped. So I'm going to just tin the ends. And then we pop these into their little respective holes. Now, as I say, you may not have this on your board because the other kit I built, I'm pretty sure, didn't have a battery connector. It was just designed to be run off a 9-volt power supply. But anyway, they're in place. And I'm going to solder those in. And yeah, the live's not that well connected actually. Let me just heat that up and push it through a bit more. There we go. See, our plus rail is now much better. So then what we do is we just pull this through a little bit like that, and then pull this through like that, and there's our battery connected with its little strain relief. Now we've got our jack sockets, and we've got our other bits and bobs. Our LED goes in here. And we've got our foot switch. So I think what I might wire in first, look at the wires we've got. Now we've got a bunch of wires here. We've got and I'm not 100% sure how we really, if they've got an idea in mind of how we colour code this. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the power first. Now I'm going to use my continuity tester on my meter just to check, but the middle pin should be the ground, which goes to here. So yeah, that's our ground in the middle. And so I'm going to solder a wire to that one, which will be black for ground. This isn't actually very easy to solder to, but I have got my spare helping hand, which I should have used in the first place. These things are brilliant, I mean, if you did electronics at school, even, 30 years ago, chances are you had one of these. And, yeah, they're great. And this one's got a magnifying glass on it as well, which is handy. So there's that. Now, trying to work out which is which with this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and grab a effects pedal power supply wire. And in fact, better than that, I've actually got a power supply here, which I'm going to plug in. And just unplug a load of these, so I only need one. And this is our 9 volts. We've got a 9 volt supply here going into this socket. Now, if I go to volts DC on my meter, and I connect our negative to our negative, which we've established, we can then work out which pin is the positive supply. So it's either going to be this pin, which it is. So there's nothing on this pin. So this pin here is our positive supply, and I'm going to just clip this onto my holding hand, and I'm going to solder a red wire to that to say that is our plus supply. Just tin that up, tin my wire and solder it in. So that's going to be our plus supply going to the board. And then the other slot, that's going to be effectively where the plus power of the battery goes to. Now, as I said, this is actually going through the circuit board on this design. As I said, if I'm building a normal pedal, it will normally go through into, you'd wire it directly to the socket, but on this case, I've not bothered. I'm trying to find my glasses. Where did I put my glasses? Here they are. And so, I want to stick to the circuit or the main idea of how they've done this. There we go. So that's our socket wired. And now we've got the wires in, I can now fit this into the case or into the chassis. So pop that in. We stick our nut through the other side. Now, I mean, you can obviously wire this in directly as you see fit. You might want to just put the socket in place and then solder it while it's in there. And to be fair, if you haven't got one of these helping hands, it's probably the easiest way of doing it. But on this. I'm just doing it like this. Now, the snag you've got is there's no kind of slip washers or anything, but you don't want to do this up too tight because then you'll damage the thread. I think that'll do. I mean, what you could do, if you've had another one of these sockets or you had a nut the same size, you put a secondary nut on it, so you had 2 nuts on it, then that's not going to move anywhere. So anyway, that's in place. We are going to have to fit our circuit board in with our potentiometers, but hopefully that will go in without that fouling it. That I'm not 100% sure on, but we'll check. Now, these wires get wired to this board. Now, we're going to have to use our continuity tester to get this right. But if we put our one end on the... In fact, we can just connect it to the battery terminal. So that's the positive battery terminal there. And let's see where that goes to here. Actually, stick it onto the right setting might help. So that should be on continuity test. Okay. So is it this one? No. This one? Yes. Not that one. So we know the middle one is definitely going to be our battery return, which is the white wire. So this wire's been pre-tinned, so I'm going to solder that in straight away. That's in place. Now we need to work out where our earth is. Again, so we put that onto this one. Obviously these are inverted to how they are on an actual battery. And nothing there. So is it on the top one? I should have actually done this before I wired it in. Not there. Not that interesting. Oh, because the earth, of course, doesn't go there. The earth goes to the socket and then comes back. Okay, so we need to work out which ones are plus power. And it's got to be the bottom one, because this one, this is going to the earthing here of this switch. So, and this is going down to that component there, which is a 1 microfarad. It's going to this. Where's this one going? So this is going down here. That's interesting. So, 9 volts is going straight to this chip. As it must be going from the top to other places. Oh, it is. It's going to that resistor there, and it's going off to other places as well. I see. So actually, if it's going to there, is that then going to one side of this Xena? Yes, it is. It's going to that side of the Xena. So yeah, so that's the that's our power in, and the top one is our ground, of which you'd see it's the ground because on the other side of the board it's going to the grounding plate of this pot. But it's always good to check these things. So we'll stick our ground wire in there. Now we should really cut these wires shorter because, you know, to keep it neat and tidy, but you know what, I'm just going to do it as it came. Because, you know, that's how they did it. And then this goes into here. So there we go. We've now got all the power is kind of dealt with. The next things we're going to have to do then is our foot switch and our input and output jacks. Now, our input is here, and we can see that this one here is going to various components, and this one is going to the ground plane. So that's our signal input and that's our ground. So if we get 2 more wires, say a red and a black, and then we'll pop our signal input there. There's our red, so get that soldered in. And then we'll put our ground wire in. Again, I'm sort of balancing it on here, but it sort of stays in place. Okay, so that's our input jack. And we can go grab a jack socket. And if you look at the jack socket, there's 3 pins, if you like. Now, there's 1 pin on the corner on the slidey bit, that's our ground. And then we've got 2 pins here, one's higher than the other. So this is going to be our signal, that's our middle pin, and that's our ground. So it's these 2 here we're going to use. So if you've got the slidey bit, slanty bit here, signal, ground and signal. So let's do our signal wire first, which is on this side. So blob of solder. And then solder our wire to it. I mean, you should really probably poke it through the hole and solder it, but I didn't do that, but I should do really, but I'm not going to because it's already got solder on it now. But yeah, that's solid enough. And then we're going to do the same here with our ground, which I have now threaded through the hole. Let's come out again. Probably should use my helping hand, but solder that in anyway. There's our input jack. Now we've got our output jack, which is over at this side. Now we've got 3 wires, but you can see this wire here coming from the ground of the battery is going down here and to this end. So I would say that is going to be our middle leg of our connector. So I'm going to put a white wire on that one because it's different to ground and signal. So sort of holding that. Let's just stick this on here a second actually. In fact, I've pushed that through. If I put the clip on the wire and the board, that's actually stayed in place. And that's good. Right, so let's put that wire in. That's our middle position on the jack socket, which is this one here. So again, that goes in like that. Clip that in place, hope it doesn't move. No, that's all in place. Let's solder that in. Once again, a little cough, do apologise, but I have had a cold. Now, we've got 2 more wires here, or 2 more positions. Now, this one here is going down here, along here, and going to one leg of the foot switch. That makes me think, and that's going to position number 6. So that must be the output here. So that's really weird actually, because why would that go to there? That doesn't actually look right. I think there might be a problem there. I'm going to have to double check this. But yeah, that's going to the foot switch. So I would suggest that that's signal coming out. And the middle one, again, is going to the ground plane. So yeah, the middle one's ground, and the top one is signal. So we've got a red and a black. So red goes in the middle, black goes at the bottom. Now, can I bend these over and solder them in? Yes, I can. Press that down hard. Turn it over. Make sure they're in position. Well, one's fallen out. Put that back in a sec. Let's get that one in first. Okay. Then we got our... Oh, I've messed that up. I've messed that right up. I've put the red in the middle. Oh, you idiot, North. Oh, I messed that right up. Let's see if I can get the ground wire in properly. Oh, no, that's the wrong hole. So I'm pushing that by the hole, heating it up. I'm have to heat it up this side actually. Oh, it's a nuisance. It's also a nuisance when you haven't got a desoldering tool with you or any desoldering braid. Stick some solder on that. Oh, there we go. Yep, that's in. Good. Okay, let's get our signal wire in now. So I'm holding the signal wire. No, I'm not. Oh, this is rubbish. Hopefully those of you that, if you are following me, are doing this a lot neater than I am. There we go. Right, okay, all these wires are in now. So let's solder these to the jack. So our ground goes on the end, the slopey side. Actually, what you could probably do is do that, stick a little bend in it. Yeah, there we go. It's probably going to be neater, although I do like it being flush with the... I actually might twist that back the other way, actually. Because I like this to be flush with the metal. So you kind of push it through the hole one way, then get some pliers and flatten it against the metal. Like that. That's good. Let's see if I can clamp that in there. Yeah, that's better. Perfect. Let's get some runny wire onto that one. That's good. And now I'm going to put the signal wire onto the jack socket. It's roughly flush with the metal as well. Okay, we've nearly got everything in now. The one thing we've got to do, well, three things we've got to do. We've got to put our LED in, we've got to put our pots in, and we've got to connect our foot switch. Now, with the foot switch, I'm going to go, I should have 6 wires left. Have I got 6 wires? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 wires, so I'm going to go black, red and white. So if I hold this in the clamp, like so, grab my solder, grab my first wire, which is black, get that through the hole. There's our wire in position. Hope I don't lose it. Should be okay. Yep, so black. Red. White. black. Appear to have one extra bit of wire. Very kind of them to give me that. It's black. Red. And white. Okay, that's all those wires in. Now, connecting this to our switch, I'm just going to look on the internet, and if I can find the mouse for my computer, and see. Right, well, I just did some continuity testing, and actually the output wire to the jack is this one, which goes to the middle position here, which is what it should be. So it does go as it should be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we get our wires here, this is 1, 2 and 3, and we solder them to 1, 2 and 3 of the socket. Now I'm actually going to tin this first and then poke the wire through the hole, because it's a reasonable size, so it should just go in. So one should just go in like that, which it does. We do number 2, which is the red wire. And number 3 is the white wire. Can I actually poke that through first? Put my glasses on might help. Oh, I can see everything now actually, so I'll just tin that. Put that wire in there. Pop that through the hole. It's hardened. Oh, pulled it out before it had gone hard. Okay. Okay, that's okay. Right, and then we do here. So number 4 is going to be the top one on the other side. Let's just tin that. Number 4's white. Heat it up with some fresh solder. Let that go hard. Yep. 5 is the red one. That's in place, and number 6. Okay, so what we've got left to do is the LED and the sockets. So the LED is, it's an LED in one of these little holder things, and the positive wire will go that side, because the you can see that there's a ground plane on the other. So we're going to have to take the little nut off here, and the legs have got a little bit bent on this, which is annoying. So I have to sort of straighten them up a bit, but we should be okay. As long as we pop that through. And actually, if you end up having to take the board out, the LED will just come out of its little holder. But I want it to kind of stay in place at the moment. Because what we're going to do is we're going to fit all the controls, so all the pots are going to be fitted in place, as well as the LED, and then we're going to sort of solder it afterwards. So again, I'm going to take the nuts off the pots. I'll pop the washer back on in a minute. Now, these pots, these very cheap pots, I may add. Oh, that was good. I just lost a nut. Fortunately, not very well. They've got like a funny little indentation here, which I think may be a problem. So I'm going to snip that off. Just like a little bit of aluminium. It just breaks off. We'll do that with all of them. Oh, dropped another washer there. Do that with that one. And we'll do that with this one. Oh, this one doesn't have... Oh, does it have one? Yeah, it does have one. Now, this is the stereo potentiometer. Which means it's got 6 legs. And these are all slightly bent, which is quite annoying. But we'll soon straighten those out. Okay, so what we're going to do is... These are obviously mounted from the bottom of the circuit board. So we'll try and turn the board over. And we'll get these in place, and they've got these sort of positioning lugs as well on the back, which again, these have all got a bit bent, so I'm going to straighten them out a little bit so that they'll fit through the hole, as well as our 6 connecting legs. So we'll try and get the 6 legs in place first. And then our little earthing position. So yeah, that's in place. And then we're going to do the same with the other 2. That's in there. And then this one goes in here. Now I'm going to just bend the bits on the back that help it stay in place. But obviously I'm not going to solder them in yet because I want a little bit of wriggle room to get it all right. So yeah, you can see I've got those bits there mounted, and yeah, that's all good. Now my LED's fallen out. Where's my LED? There it is. There's my LED. Okay, well that's made things easier actually, having the LED out, because we've got this out of the way. Actually, I've just got this all twisted around. Anyway, that's meant to go around that way. As I say, our positive leg for the LED should be that way. So I'm going to put the LED in that way, into its holes like that, and then I'm going to lower everything in place and then push the LED through into its holder. And now the only other thing I need to do is I need to put these washers. Now, no, I'm going to have the washers on the top actually. I'm going to have the washers on the top. If I had shake proofs, then they would go in between. But this didn't come with any, unfortunately. Now, we should just be able to wiggle this in under the power connector, which we do. So that's kind of in place. So I'm going to now put our washers on and then loosely tighten the nuts up. Not getting them completely tight, but, you know, finger tight. And to be honest, they're not going to need to get that much tighter anyway. But, yeah, we'll get that in place like that. Then our LED isn't quite where it should be, so push that down. And there we go, it's exactly where it's supposed to be now. Sorry, it's exactly supposed to be where it's now. So we will firstly solder in our LED. And I'm just double checking that the polarity is correct, and it is. So our LED's in, and we can now solder in our pots. So again, let's move these wires out of the way, and we'll just do them a row at a time, and then also solder in the little holder bits at the back. So that's our first one done. That was the stereo control. Then we're going to do this one. Those bits first, and then that's that one in. Then we just do our third one, which is here. Okay, I think that's all the soldering that we need to do now, and let's just look at our jacks. So we've got in and out on the top, so we'll get our input, pop that through, stick our washer on, and then our nut. Now, as I said, I should really have maybe cut the wires, made them shorter. But, you know, you can easily just cut them and do it however you like, really. I mean, I suppose if I was just building this for myself and I wasn't doing a demonstration, then I'd probably not wire the jacks up until they were in position, maybe, and then do it. But, you know, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. As long as everything's in the right place, then it shouldn't really matter. As I said, you know, you do normally get a wiring diagram with these, but the wiring diagram is usually in black and white and is pretty useless. However, you know, you finding photographs of these pedals is probably not a bad idea. Now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to stick some power in it and see if it lights up. And it doesn't. Right, why is that not working then? That's not good. Just stick a battery on it to see. I mean, it might be because it doesn't have a jack plug in the input, of course, which isn't normally a thing with these, but, or in the output rather. So let me just stick a jack in each socket and then put our power on. Nope, still nothing. Ooh, why is that not working? What have I done wrong? It's going to be something to do with the power input, I'm sure. I've probably wired it back to front or something. In fact, I probably have. let's have a closer look. In fact, I might see if I can find. I did find a web page that somebody's done with the wiring. These are the 40 point. Okay. Do. Right, I'm just comparing this to what's on this web page, and it looks correct. That goes to the top. Yeah. I mean, it could be, actually, that I've just wired the LED the wrong way round. And what I thought was the right one was, in fact, the wrong one. I'm just going to stick my meter across it and just have a look. Stick that on ground. Stick that on one side of the... Nothing. No power at all. That's interesting. Oh, because maybe I don't have it switched on. Yeah. I've wired the LED in the wrong way round. What an idiot. So yeah, the positive side of the LED is actually this side, not that side. Then let's take this all apart. Because if your LED's wrong, it's a bit rubbish. But this goes with what I was saying. Because we put our sockets in, we can simply, our pots and all that, we can simply take everything out and desolder, and everything's going to stay in the same place, which is really good. So yeah. So the reason I thought that was the positive side was simply because it had a trace going to it. But of course, that trace is going to the switch, because it's basically just taking an earth and adding the earth to the, or ground rather, to the side. Oh, this is so rubbish. What have I done? I'm sort of heating it up and sort of trying to flip-flop it as much as I can. Okay. Turn that around 90 degrees. Can we get this back in the board? I think we can. It's Christmas after all. Well, it might not be Christmas where you're watching this, but here it's actually Boxing Day in the UK. Which for many people is quite dull, because it's, you know, it's the second degree programs on TV, and I think I've got one leg in. Have I got that leg in? Yeah, I have. Good. Can I get the other leg in now? Can I get the other leg in? Or not? Oh, I'll have to do it from this side actually. It's so rubbish trying to do this without a... Am I sure I haven't got a desoldering pump here? I'm sure I had one, you know. I have! I bloody got a desolder. Why did I not find that earlier? Ooh, it's a bit blocked. But yes, I have a desoldering pump. Right, okay. Happy days. Happy days. Let's just take this gunk off the end. Ow. There we go. I have a desoldering pump. Good. I'll just cut my thumb with it. Right, let's heat that up. Almost all gone. That is all gone. Lovely, nice fresh hole. Let's put that bit of the LED in. If it doesn't have any gunk on the end. No, it's clean now. Let's push that into where it needs to be, which is a little bit further than where it is at the moment. To be honest, that'll probably be alright actually. Excellent, right. So put some power on it, see what happens. Still not working. That is on, isn't it? Oh, did I get that other wire wired? Oh, I don't think I got the other end actually wired in properly. No, I didn't. Okay. So the other side. And there's nothing through on that at all. It's got a bit of fresh solder on there. Although I am wondering if I flipped it round again by mistake. Okay, we've got a little hole there. So we can get that through now. Where's my other pliers? These ones. Can I push that right in? Yeah, okay. Let's solder that. Now, have we got power or have I made a mistake? Oh, blimey, I left the bloody power switch on there when I was doing that. No, now, I'm a little bit worried about this switch because it got a bit hot when I was doing what. Now, did I get the wiring in the right place? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to check this switch. Okay, that's working correctly. Okay. That's all working. Now, have I just knackered the LED? I may have done. Is that side of the LED even in? Done something wrong here. Although the power was going through, so... I did put the chips in the right place. Oh. Yeah. And well... I've done something wrong here and I can't work out why. This is really annoying. Okay, we have a pedal and it works. Okay, I'm just playing it for the computer, but it does work. Right, I made a cock-up. I made a massive cock-up. Whatever you do, do not plug your pedal in until you check where your ICs are. Now, as we look at the board kind of that way, the IC that is this side next to the capacitors, that is going to be the weird one, the one that isn't a TLO72. That's there. The TLO72s go here and here. They're not side by side as I thought they were. Again, I just looked at a quick photograph and I didn't look at it close enough. Didn't have a diagram with it. That is where the two... That's where the one that isn't TLO72 is. The two TLO72s go there and there. As for the LED, I think because these were swapped around, it was anchoring the power. And I haven't put the LED back in yet because I fried it, because I stuck it on a 9-volt battery to remember what the polarity was, because I couldn't see it very well. But yeah, that's kind of it really. It's kind of put together now. I will stick a new LED when I get home, because I haven't got any spare LEDs here. And it does work. But yeah, it's not been the most successful video I've ever done, I will admit. There has been the odd cock-up. But in essence, if what you want to do is build one of these pedals, they can be built, but you do need to have a schematic or somewhere to work towards. And while I was making this video, I found this website, which I'll give a link to in the description, which is a good indication on how to build one of these. Probably better than my ramblings on this video, to be honest. But we have it. We have a Klon. You know, if I pop these on the top, you know, got our little pot knobs, which I suppose I should really put on. You know, I'm supposed to be showing you how to build this from start to finish. So yeah, we'll pop that one on there. Pop that one on there. And actually, these knobs are quite nice. They do look the part. I can get my screwdriver in there. Honestly, trying to build things with not much light and middle-aged man's eyesight is not good. But yeah, if I pop that in like that, and then all we would not ordinarily need to do is to pop the back on, which I'm going to do now because I've got no battery in here. But in fact, if I put let me put a battery in it. Actually, let's just check that this will work with a battery. That's the only bit I didn't test. Let's pop this this little battery in, and I've got it turned down on the guitar. Yeah. Yep, it's all working with a battery, so what I'm going to do is I will put the back on, find our little screws for the back. Oh, honestly, what a muppet. What an absolute muppet. But, you know, I could easily have edited all of that out and you could have seen me do something and make it look absolutely perfect. In fact, what I should have done while I was building this was watch the video of the last Klon clone that I built. But why do that? You know, this is supposed to be for real. I built that pedal 2 years ago. I had a wiring diagram for it. And I did it in daylight. In fact, I did it during Glastonbury, because I remember listening to it on the radio. Right, there's our Klon pedal there, all screwed together, no LED, but hey. It's all working. Let's plug it into a valve amp. Now, I've got to say, I'm still very fond of my little champ that I built. It's a great little... It's a great little low wattage amp. Let's stick the Klon on, and we've got everything in the middle at the moment. And let's give it plenty of gain, 3/4 of the way through. Now, I've got to say, this Klon seems to have a lot more gain and drive than previous Klons that I've built. I'm not too sure why, but it does. So even with the gain rolled down, it's still got a bit of crunch. I'm actually rather liking this. Yeah, it's a great pedal. What can I say? It's a copy of a Klon. It was 20 quid. I made a cock up on the way, but the final thing is we've got a great pedal for 20 quid. And so, yeah, this is it. That's it. That's it. That's the pedal made. You know, I really like it. I think it sounds good. I'm going to keep this one. This is the 4th Klon that I've owned. I've had one lookalikey. I bought another lookalikey. Didn't like that. Built the kit version. It was okay. Nothing special, but it was all right. But this one, I really like the sound of this one. So this one's staying. I'm going to use this. Anyhow, hope you like this video. It's a bit of fun. It's actually Boxing Day that I filmed this on, hence the Christmas jumper. I'm right next to a strip light, so, you know, I'm not going this grey yet, but, you know, we're all getting a bit older, aren't we? Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you've watched this all the way through, well done. Thank you very much. Grab yourself a gold star, and I'll catch you on the next one.